Will Goldstein here, and as always, there's a chance to subscribe by hitting that button down there. If you like these videos, I think I'm up to 80 subscribers now. I'm a musician. You can always check out my music at thekingscourt.com or at the channel page. There's a lot of links, 12 links there. You can find my music. I'm doing Screwtape letters. This is number 17. He doesn't name them. I'm calling this Picky Eaters and Gluttons. That's what it's about. Wormwood is being addressed by Screwtape, and so Screwtape says, "You spoke of gluttony in your last letter. One of our great achievements has been to deaden the human conscience on that subject. Now you will hardly find a sermon preached or a conscience troubled about it." Right off the bat, I've never heard a sermon preached on that myself. Big deal in the United States of America with Robert Kennedy. What Robert Kennedy plans to do, regardless of what you may think about him, he does want to help Americans, I believe. He wants to get us back on a better diet. There's a lot of Americans that are overweight, and a lot of it is due to ultra-processed foods. I am a vegetarian. You wouldn't believe what I buy. I buy no processed foods, like zero. Everything I buy is a fruit or a vegetable or a nut or a legume. I mean, I buy bread, I buy honey, I buy maple syrup. I don't eat sugar. If somebody serves me meat, go to visit my daughter, and she gives me chicken soup, I eat chicken soup. But when I'm at home, literally it takes months to fill up my garbage can, because everything that I eat is 100%, like I said, natural food. The recycle bin doesn't even know I exist. I just don't have anything that's processed food. So I'm totally aligned with that if you want to stay healthy. But anyway, back on track here. Your patient's mother, her whole life is enslaved to this kind of sensuality. We can use our belly and palate to produce querulousness, impatience, uncharitableness, and self-concern. Interesting. So they're using the person's diet as, what actually manifests itself in the way that they treat other people, obviously, at least according to this. And then it goes on to say, "Oh, please, a cup of tea and a bit of really crisp toast." I'm paraphrasing here. But in other words, being very picky about what she's eating. She never recognizes her determination to get what she wants, however troublesome it may be to others. I've been around picky eaters. I know what picky eaters are. It's got to be just exactly perfect, exactly the way you want it, or it's no good. She gives a little scream at the overworked waitress. "Oh, that's far, far too much. Take it away." She is offended by more food than she happens to want. The important thing is that she's not grateful for the food that she's getting. She's offended because it wasn't exactly the way that she wanted it. It wasn't prepared precisely according to her specification. As though the waitress is supposed to know exactly what she wants. Her belly dominates her whole life. So she's not really overeating, she's a picky eater. Usually picky eaters, women tend to be more picky eaters. And, they're usually often under-eaters. They're probably more likely to have anorexia or something like that. It's got to be exactly the way they want, and then only a tiny bit, but at the expense of others and their own health. Some of them are even bulimic. So all she wants is a cup of tea properly made, an egg properly boiled, a slice of bread properly toasted. Obviously, properly is the word I'm accentuating here. So again, she's a picky eater. She never finds any servant who can do things properly, because her properly is a demand for the exact which she imagines from the past, described by her as the days when you could get good servants. The daily disappointments produces ill temper, cooks give notice, and friendships are cooled. So in other words, everybody's just had enough of her. She's a nuisance. Probably waitresses don't want her to come in to the restaurant. They don't want to deal with her. It's just a big hassle. She definitely needs to think about the way her actions are affecting others around her, and she's obviously not concerned about that. So now he's shifting gears into the son, who's not a picky eater. Concerning your patient, the son, males are best turned into gluttons. That's probably true. Gradually, by habit, they start to overeat more and more. This brings him into the state of denial of any indulgence. Then his charity, justice, and obedience are all at your mercy. Well, that's an interesting statement. So he's saying that he's developing this habit, or at least they want him to get this habit of overeating. And then if he does that, then he'll be in denial of the fact that he is overeating and he's partaking in this indulgence. And once the demons get him into denial, then his charity, his justice, and obedience are all at the mercy of the demons. In other words, they can have a lot more maneuverability in those areas. Excess in food is less valuable than delicacy. Its chief use is for attacks on his chastity. So what they're doing is they're connecting his diet and the way that he's eating and his overeating and indulgence in that and gluttony to his appetite for example, sex. So those two are connected, indulgence in both of them. So in other words, it's all a gratification of both the palate and for his sexuality. As on every subject, keep your man in a condition of false spirituality. Never let him notice the medical aspect. The medical aspect is obvious with overeating. I'm sure it's a huge list. I'm sure there's a lot, and I don't have time to go into them, of all the complications that can happen to a person's health by overeating. Keep him wondering how pride and lack of faith has delivered him into your hands by what he has been eating or drinking, though a little abstinence could imperil your lines of communication. So in other words, if he got it together and started realizing what he was doing to his health, then that would imperil the lines of communication that the demons have, because they're promoting him towards that. Concerning chastity, feed him the lie that physical exercise and fatigue are specially favorable for this virtue. For this reason, the schoolmasters of old told stories about men interested in chastity who recommended games as an aid to chastity. Just to get their mind off girls and to get their mind off sex and to be these pure boys who are just thinking only of holy things. Just send them out on the games until they get exhausted. They'll be too darn tired and want to roll over and go to sleep. So the schoolmasters said.